shot, and I'm gonna be physical with you the whole game. You know Stu gonna be physical with you. When you think of the Pistons, you think of just hard work and just gritty basketball. That's just the identity you gotta have when you put on that jersey.
I'm not your average breed of canine. Not a good dog, I'm bad boy for life. I set the tone, don't care about no tick. Let it be known, I get my respect. Come in the lane and see I don't bluff. If you retaliate, that's on ya. Slick talking pundits, I hear your shade. Talking that chop, you must want this way. If the dog palm, mess around, find out, if the dog palm, mess around, find out, for some barbecue sauce, boy, you better crop a hill, cause I'm like that. When you're real for some barbecue sauce, boy, you better crop a hill, cause I'm like that. The dog palm, mess around, find out.
What up, though, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Downtown Deuce Show. Hope everybody is enjoying their weekend. So, guys, game 82 of 82 is officially in the books for the Detroit Pistons and for pretty much the entire NBA at this point. We got a few more games left across the league, including Anthony Edwards playing in the game he was supposed to be suspended for with the Timberwolves, which could decide the three-point crown between him and Malik Beasley, but it looks like Beasley may go ahead and wrap that up because he played meaningful minutes tonight and knocked down a ton of threes. But before we get to all that, I want to welcome everybody who was here. I see you guys in the comments. Shift God, what's going on? Roderick, what's going on, man? Devin, what's up? Zola, everybody. Carl, what's going on, bro? Knicks are toast. How many games you got that series going? Let me know. And let's see. D is in the house. Says salute to you. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you, bro. We got enough to do it. Yes, playoffs are on the horizon. It should be a fun playoff postseason for the Detroit Pistons, man. So we're going to get to that as well. But let's get into tonight's game. So tonight, guys, the Pistons lose their season finale 140 to 133 on the road. And they finished the regular season with a record of 44-38, which is tied for their best record since the 2015-2016 season. That was the year we had Reggie Jackson, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Tobias Harris the first time around, Marcus Morris, and Andre Drummond as our starters going against the Cleveland Cavaliers, who would go on to win in 4 games, a close sweep. They would beat us in 4 games, and they would go on to win the championship that year against the Golden State Warriors in 7. Historically coming back from 3 games down. So that was the last time that the Pistons have done that. And so this has been a great season, and that is just kind of a cherry on top to one of the things the Pistons have accomplished, especially compared to last year. So getting back to this game, you could see right away that this game was going to be one that was a rest game for both teams, right? A lot of guys missing on both sides. I think the Bucks had 9 guys who didn't play in this game. So this game was very inconsequential. It didn't really mean much, as far as standings or implications playoff-wise. Everybody knew, everybody now knows who they're going to play, and they knew that coming into tonight's game. So this was, like I said last show, a good opportunity to get some guys some rest, right? And to be able to prepare for the playoffs and give other guys who don't get the opportunity, get them a shot, get them some run, allow them to really show their skills and get familiar, more importantly, for who they might be playing with next season on a more consistent level. So we'll get to that later as well, too. But as far as who didn't play for the Pistons, Cade, Stu, and Asar were all out. Those guys all sat today, which I was perfectly okay with. Like I mentioned, the Bucks, they missed like 9 guys, including Giannis, Dame, Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis, KPJ, Gary Trent Jr., and a few other guys. They had a lot of guys sitting. So a lot of guys for the Pistons got an opportunity tonight because of that, even as much as starting, right? So guys like Marcus Sasser and Ron Holland got to start. I think this was Ron's first career start, so congrats to him. For the first time, we got to see this. I like this game because for me personally, I don't know about y'all, but y'all let me know. But for me personally, when we got to halftime, I can't remember being as impatient waiting for the second half to start, right? just because of who we saw in the first half, because of the guys that we saw getting opportunity that many of us have been waiting a long time this year to see get an opportunity, get some opportunity. And for me, those two guys were two guys I've had my eye on. You guys know since summer league. For those who've been watching me since the beginning of the year, Danish Jenkins and Bobby Clement. Right, there were other guys who got chances to play in more run. Guys like Lindy Waters, Tolu Smith, even Ron Harper Jr. So a lot of guys got opportunity. You know, Sasser started obviously, and Holland started, but the two guys I had my eye on were Danish Jenkins and Bobby Clement, because this is the first time we get to see these guys playing together, playing meaningful minutes in the NBA game together, right? It wasn't just 2 minutes here and there at the end of the game, the fourth quarter, when it doesn't matter, you know, when the game is already in hand. Tonight, it was extended run, right? Rotational minutes. So guys didn't feel pressed to have to try to do so much in a short period of time because they only have 100 seconds of game time on the floor, right? They had a chance to actually settle in and know they're going to be in the game for a while, right? Allowed to make mistakes if they made them. They weren't going to get pulled. This was the game for them, especially in that second half when the game kind of got out of hand in that first half. And they actually enabled the Pistons to get back into the game and send it to overtime like they did late. So it was really good to see a lot of these guys just get opportunities and see what they do with the opportunity. It was fun. It was really a lot of fun. So we're going to get into detail with what we saw. But it was a very entertaining game. I was a lot more entertained watching the last game of the year that didn't mean anything than I thought it would be, for the reasons that I just described. It was just a nice reward because we've been waiting so long to see these guys. So yeah, let's get into it. So initial thoughts, right? We'll get into some initial thoughts and then we'll get into what we just talked about. So for me, with this game in particular, that first quarter was a first quarter to forget, right? From an X and O standpoint, like a tactical standpoint, it wasn't a good start to this game for the Pistons at all. You could see they started off well. The first few minutes of the game, they looked solid, right? But you could tell about 5 or 6 minutes into this game that the same level of fluidity and connectivity that we usually see with our starters, it just wasn't there. And that's to be expected, understood, right? Because Cade was out, you know, we had Asar was out, we had guys who were missing, you know, key guys who were missing. So it did look a little bit different and it did feel a little bit different. And it seemed like it did to the guys who were in the game to start too, right? But I will say this though, even with the lineups being shuffled and guys being out, you know, Sasser instead of Cade and Ron instead of Asar, even though the execution and the crisp passing thing, even though that wasn't there like we're used to seeing it, I did like that they are still playing the same type of basketball, right? Whoever's in the game, they're all playing the same way. It's very systematic basketball, right? The ball movement looked good. It was hopping around. It wasn't sticking. You weren't seeing guys just ball watching with their hands up, just waiting for a pass to come to them. It was movement. It was movement, play movement, and ball movement. That's what you want to see. And regardless of who's in the game, you know, whether it's guys who play a lot or not, bench guys or not, everybody's playing the same way. So it was encouraging to see that everybody is trying to do that, even though it's not perfect because of who's playing. I like this systematic approach. Regardless of who's on the floor, we're going to play the same way. We're going to play tough defense. We're going to play to our style. We're going to turn you over. We're going to get out in transition and try to score. Right? We're going to play for each other offensively, spread it around. Like that's what I like to see. That's what I like to see. And that was the biggest problem, was just the execution. You know, the timing wasn't there. The passing, even though the passing was there from a willingness standpoint, the passes weren't as sharp. They weren't as crisp. They weren't as on time. They weren't on target, right, to cutters. Passes trying to get forced through, you know, turning the ball over, things like that. So they had the mindset, but the comfortability wasn't there because these guys don't have the same reps together. Sasser and JD don't have a lot of reps out of the pick and roll, for example, right? That's a Cade and JD thing. That's a Schroeder and Stu thing. It's not a Sasser and JD thing that we've been able to see in NBA games. And that's something they have not been able to do together in NBA games. So things like that affect the flow of your offense because guys have not had the opportunity to get comfortable. We've seen Cade and JD early in the season go through their lumps out of the pick and roll. JD getting offensive foul after offensive foul, right? Turnover, without even being able to get a shot out of it. So that took time. So I wasn't surprised to see guys like Sasser and JD trying to find their way as they get the reps in with that combination. So things like that I expected to see. I wasn't really upset by it because the willingness was there That's the most important thing. So eventually, with the reps, all these guys will have a level of comfortability with each other. So, but that was really the storyline of the first quarter. The Pistons were trying, they just were not playing sharp basketball. The comfortability was not there. And as a result of the turnovers, that's when the game got away because the Bucks did what the Pistons want to do: turn you over and get out in transition and knock down threes. And the Bucks tonight were knocking down threes at a high rate. They could not miss, especially in that first half. And they could not miss. They could not miss a shot. It didn't seem like. And so whether it was Green or whether whoever it was, those guys are just not missing shots. They had Nance, the big man. I think he's related to Larry Nance Sr. and Jr. So yeah, it was those guys are really just knocking down shots all game. So you got to give them credit for that. The Pistons defense wasn't perfect; it wasn't great, but even with that, the Bucks were just knocking down a lot of shots, a lot of 3-pointers. They shot 52% from three tonight, guys. They shot 23 out of 44 from three. So I mean, that's a lot of 3-pointers to go down, But it wasn't something that you could be really upset about because the Pistons did give the effort. They did give the effort. It just wasn't always fluid, like I mentioned. So that was the story of the game. The Pistons ended up going down 20 after the first quarter. They gave up 41 first quarter points. And like I mentioned, the Bucks just couldn't miss. They took advantage of every turnover. And so from that point forward, you kind of got the feel of how the game might go if you kept the same lineups, but things changed. But before we get to that point, I want to mention the fact that Kyle Kuzma had 20 points in the first quarter. He only played, I don't think he played after the first quarter, and he had 20 points for the game. He got him on the first. He couldn't miss either. He couldn't miss. And watching Kuz this game, I've seen him do that before. Like he gets hot. When he gets hot, he can score whenever he wants, from deep especially. But he's a good scorer. And he has not had a lot of time with this Bucks team. But it looks like tonight, with Giannis and Dame out, it had the kind of feel where they kind of just went to him and said, hey, get shots up tonight. Build your confidence because we're going to need you in the playoffs. So get a ton of shots up in the first quarter because he was pulling them from everywhere. The logo nearly a few times. Like he was just trying to, get himself into a rhythm, and he did. He couldn't miss. So it seemed like they kind of just wanted to feature him and get him going so that way come playoff time when they need him, he's ready. Right? And he's a champion, so he knows how to get it done. But it's just always good to have a rhythm. And tonight he definitely found that rhythm. And with Kuz, really quickly, his ability to be able to score the basketball is part of the reason why I think the Bucks are going to beat the Pacers in that first round, like I mentioned before. I have the Bucks beating the Pacers. You got guys like Kuz, who's a champion, guys like Pat Connaughton, who's a champion, who dropped 43, I believe, tonight, 40, right? Who can get you a bucket whenever. You put those guys with guys like Giannis, guys like Dame, Brook Lopez, Portis, Kevin Porter Jr. Yeah, give me the Bucks. Give me the Bucks over the Pacers in that first round. They have the championship pedigree. They're tough. They're physical. They've been there before, and they got an MVP on their team, right? And they're a lot deeper than people think, especially with their older guys like Connaughton getting healthy and guys like who is getting confident. That could be a dangerous team in the Eastern Conference. So just watch out for that. But that is exactly why I was thinking the Pistons, not the Pistons, but the Bucks could go ahead and take care of the Pacers. Now, getting back to this game. Right? So we talked about the Bucks. We talked about the first quarter. Talked about how things looked. Now I want to get to the actual box score because we're going to talk about guys individually. And there's a lot of guys I see you guys in the comments talking about. We are going to get to all of them, guys. I promise you we're going to get to everybody. Let's go ahead and get to some of these comments that you guys are saying here. Tolu Smith. I see a lot of Tolu Smith. Tolu Smith. Okay, so let's go ahead and get to it. So for this game, guys, let's start with Sass. Let's start with Marcus Sasser. Marcus Sasser tonight, guys. Actually, he played a solid game. He started off struggling, very much so, but he really got it going in that second half. So Sasser tonight had 18 points, 10 assists, 2 steals, 3 turnovers on 7 for 19 shooting, 1 of 6 from 3, 3 from the free throw line in 43 minutes. So for Sass, guys, he really struggled early. He didn't shoot the ball well. 7 for 19 is not good. But, he got it going in the second half. He definitely got it going in the second half. And that's something that you really want to see from a guy like him because he can really get it done in bunches. And he also was getting other guys involved, which is what I wanted to see. He was getting guys involved, and he started getting to his own his own offense as well. So definitely was happy to see that with him. I see some of you guys saying there's some audio issues. I'm going to try to soldier through here, guys. I was told that last night as well. So after this stream, I'm going to go ahead and take a deeper look into it. If you guys can just soldier through this with me and let me know if it's good enough, I will go ahead and continue. So that way I ain't got to keep leaving and coming back. And I will fix this between now and the playoffs. You can believe that for sure. So you guys let me know if it's good enough for me to get through. And if so, I'll soldier through. But once again, my apologies for the audio issues. I will work on that between now and next stream. All right. So let's go ahead and keep it moving, guys. Let's go to the rest of the starters. We didn't really get much from the starters, guys. Like I mentioned, these guys were just trying to stay lathered, trying to stay in the rhythm. THJ didn't really give us much. He was just coasting. Guys like THJ, Tobias, JD, those guys were coasting, right? They were just trying to stay in the rhythm. They weren't going full tilt. You definitely didn't, want to see them get hurt or anything like that. But you also want to see them get a chance to play and just kind of stay in that rhythm and not get cold. So I liked that they got a chance to play, and I like that they were just kind of, playing well enough to keep themselves in the rhythm. So that was good to see. All right, you guys are saying this is good enough, so I appreciate you guys soldiering through with me. We're gonna go ahead and keep it moving, but I appreciate you guys as always. All right, let's go ahead and keep it moving. So let's get to the bench. That's really the story of this game for me. The story of this game, we know this. We know what the starters can do. We know when these guys are healthy. When Cade is playing and when the stars, we know what the starters can do. We've seen them do it and do it well. It's led them to 44 wins this season, right? So we're not going to focus too much on that. We'll talk about them more when we get to the playoffs. That's really when we can start talking about the team as a whole. But for now, let's go ahead and, you know what? Let's get to one guy who doesn't usually start, right? He's a bench guy, but tonight he got the start. Ron Holland, right? Ron Holland tonight. Let's start with Ron as far as what he did. And tonight, Ron was solid. I thought he played pretty solid. He had 5 points, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block, 2 of 4 shooting from the field, 1 of 2 from 3. Missed his only free throw in 23 minutes. So, guys, Ron Holland showed me tonight that he can play with anybody. He can play with anybody, right? He looked very comfortable in his first start, and he showed me that he can play with either unit. He's just a baller, right? It doesn't matter. You don't have to put certain guys around him for him to be successful. He can play with anybody. He can fit in with anybody because he's so versatile, right? He's still learning the ins and outs of the offense. You can see Cade at times, waving him down from the bench. Cade would be on the bench and Ron would be in the game. And you can see Cade like waving him over, like telling him to shift to the other side of the floor. And then Ron will respond and go over to the other side of the floor. So like you can see that he's still learning, right? And it's good to see Cade still teaching because Cade knows the offense very, very well, right? But it's good to see Ron, in those situations with the starters who he doesn't usually play with, right? But just for him to get the opportunity, I thought he looked pretty good in this game. And I really love his ability to slide his feet defensively. We talked about this before. His ability to slide his feet defensively and guard guards, right? Guys like Matt Connaughton, who had 43 in this game, but most of them were not on Ron Holland, right? Ron Holland made it very, very tough for him. And Ron is considerably bigger than Matt Connaughton. He's a lot taller, right? But one of his strengths is that he can move his feet like a guard. I mean, he's a guard forward, however you want to put him, right? But he can move his feet with speedy, quick guards. And we've seen him do that all year. And his height is a problem for them because they're not able to just get around him and they can't shoot over him. So his versatility is what I love about him. And he's been doing that all year. He's been guarding little guards all year. Scottie Pippen Jr., anybody you want to think about, he's really been able to guard those backup guards and do a good job. Peyton Pritchard, all those guys. He's done a really, really good job. So that's one of his strengths for sure. Defensively, I think this has been a great rookie campaign for him. Great way to end it, by being able to play with the starters and really not miss much of a beat at that position, at the 3, right? He did a lot of great things. So love Ron Holland, love what we saw from him, love his versatility, and I think he's going to be big for the Pistons in the playoffs, man. He's not phased. Starting off the bench, playoffs, regular season, I don't think he's phased by the bright lights. He doesn't seem bothered at all. That's what I love. He's not bothered at all. So that's going to be important for this young team. Very, very important. Heisenberg Blue says, great touch and body control around the rim. Yes, like Heisenberg. Doesn't it feel like he just finishes everything around the rim? Like he's able to just snake into the paint and just get a good shot on goal every time. He doesn't have a lot of bad misses. He's usually putting it in, or it's a close miss. But he's he's got really, really good touch. Like Heisenberg is saying, guys around the rim. It's like, wow, he put that in too. That one went in too. So it's good to see that with him. Ron gets consistent from outside. He's gonna be. He actually knocked down the three too from deep. He took the thing about Ron. He's not afraid to ever shoot the ball, right? We know with guys like Asar, he doesn't have a lot of confidence. He doesn't always take the shot because he's not confident in it. But confidence is never lacking with a guy like Ron Holland. He took another one right after that, right? And it didn't go in, but I just love his willingness to just shoot it. He's not afraid. He catches the ball in the rhythm. If it's a good shot, if he has space, he's taking the shot. And that's what you love to see from a young guy, just the confidence. King and I earlier were saying this year, there were times we were going to asking him to pull back just a little bit because he was going 0 for 3 in games, 0 for 4, sometimes 0 for 5. So it really wasn't falling. And that was early in his progression, obviously. But we were like trying to pull back. So, like, the point is that he's not afraid. He's not afraid to shoot it. If he's missed 3, he's going to shoot 3 more if he's open. So I just like that he has that confidence. All right. So let's go to the bench now, guys. And let's get really to the fun part of this show for me was the bench play. Because there was a lot of contributions in this game from our bench. Our bench pretty much played the entire second half. JD didn't play second half. Tobias didn't. THJ didn't. This was pretty much a half for the benches, right? And it was fun. It was a lot of fun just watching these guys in different situations. So let's start with some of the guys that we normally see, right? Let's start with Simone Fontecchio. And this was one of his better games. I will say, it was against lesser competition, right? We all know that we have not seen consistent play from Simone for most of the season. It's been up and down. But tonight, I have to give him credit for what he did. And tonight, he was a good contributor. He had 15 points, 3 boards, 2 assists, 3 turnovers, 1 foul, 5 for 9 shooting, 4 7 from 3, 1 from the free throw line, 19 minutes. It's a good game. He looked good. It looked like he wasn't only in rhythm, but he was playing to his strengths. We said all season it's either one or the other, where he's playing really good team defense. He's playing to his style, to where he's only just being a catch and shoot guy. He's not putting the ball on the floor. He's playing smart, but he's missing. But his shot's not falling. Other times his shot would be falling, but he'd also be doing too much and trying to put the ball on the floor, and he'd turn it over and get caught in the air and throwing into double teams and things like that, doing too much. But tonight he had a combination of both. He played to his strengths, and he also knocked down shots. And that's the best of both worlds with him. You want to see him do those things consistently. That's when you got a player who you can rely on consistently. When he's knocking down shots and he's not doing too much. He's just staying to his identity. And tonight he did that. He moved without the ball well, getting around screens and knocking down a 3 ball. Right? I think he had a 4-bagger too, where he got fouled and still knocked it down. So yeah, I was happy with what I saw from him tonight. I wish we would have seen more of that this season. We didn't see a lot of that consistency this season. But like Devin says, I think this may be a good game for him going into the playoffs because we all have our guys that we prefer, right, at that position or elsewhere. But I think we have an idea of who's going to be playing in the playoffs. The guys we've seen so far are the guys we're going to see in the playoffs. And that doesn't mean that there aren't more qualified guys or there aren't guys who are better fits for this team. But the guys that we have been playing all year are the guys that you can rely on most. Because once again, like we mentioned, those guys have the reps together, right? So there may be guys who you may think are better players on this team, but are they better contributors to this team? That's the biggest question. And as of right now, you got to go with a guy like Fontecchio, who at least has had reps with this team, understands the scheme on both sides of the ball, right? More times than not, he's going to at least be a contributor in that way, in playing good team defense, right? And being able to take the open shot, things like that, being able to try to crash the boards, understand where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be there on both ends of the floor. That's what you want. That's what he can give you. Now, the consistency piece as far as scoring and not doing too much, that's another story, right? But you have to kind of just go with who's got you there. He's played 70 games this year for this team. It's something to be said for that, as far as that consistency and comfortability, like we mentioned. So I do think that he is going to play in the playoffs. I don't think a guy like Clinton, who we'll get to for sure, is going to get as much run because he just has not had the opportunity. If he does, y'all know I'm going to be jumping for joy. But I don't think that's going to happen because he just has not had the opportunity. Unless you got foul trouble and you absolutely need to go to a guy that you haven't went to all year. That's the only time I think we'll see a guy like, a guy like Clinton coming to the game. We'll see. But we'll see. It could get really, really interesting. But yeah, I just he was solid. He was solid, and I'll leave it there for him. I wish we could have gotten that from him more this season, but hopefully he can kind of carry this into the playoffs, and we'll kind of go from there. So let's move on to Malik Beasley, guys. So first things first, guys. Malik Beasley has played every single game this year. He has played every single game this year, and I have to give him credit for him being an Iron Man. Being an Iron Man, man, like he has been consistent for us from day one, since day one. He has been a day one contributor to this team, six man of the year, breaking records, um, beating the previous Pistons all-time three-point record in the season by more than 100, right? Sadiq Bey was a previous holder at 211. Willie Beasley has more than 311 this year. He did it off the bench. Absolutely insane. Insane. And it's looking like he's going to get that three-point crown this year because I think he knocked down 7 more threes and he was one ahead of Anthony Edwards. So Ant-Man needs to knock down 9 to pass him, 8 to tie, I believe, if my numbers are exact. But what he's done this year has been incredible. Incredible, man. It was like he's just been a godsend for this team. So I got to give him credit for what he's brought to this team on and off the court. It's funny because in the second half, he didn't start this game. It seemed like in the second half, because he actually started the second half. The Pistons were down big, right? They were down 20 or 15, something like that at halftime. And he started the second half. And the report was he started the second half to help the Pistons get back into the game. But I think the Pistons were helping him secure that three-point crown because he was getting those shots up. It was a happy accident, right? It makes sense. You're down that many points. You need a guy to come in and give you some punch. So it does make sense. I just think it was a happy accident that it kind of worked two birds with one stone as far as being able to help him make sure that he doesn't get past and he gets those shots up, which I wasn't mad at. I'm not mad at all. It was just funny how it played out to hear it. But yeah, and I'm cool with that too because Anthony Edwards was supposed to be suspended for this final game today that they play later on. And the technical foul that initially got him suspended was rescinded today. So he now has an opportunity to get, without that being rescinded, he would have had no shot to even catch Bees. He would already came into today behind Bees. So he has the opportunity now to get those shots up. And that's why I like that Bees was given the same opportunity to help the Pistons get back into the game and make sure that he kept his lead above Edwards. So I thought that was funny. But he did his thing, man. He's been great all year. So shout out to Bees, man. Hopefully Pistons get him locked up for a couple more years and we can really move forward with him in our championship contention run. So great game from him. All right, guys, let's keep it moving. Now let's take a look at who we got next. Let's go to Paul Reed, man. Let's go to Paul Reed because Paul Reed actually played a pretty good game. He played a pretty good game. I was happy to see what we got from him. Another guy that got extended minutes. We've said all year that a lot of these guys, had to just make sure they stayed ready so they didn't have to get ready. And Paul Reed, as of late, has got more opportunity, but for most of the season, hasn't really had a consistent role. It's really just been JD and Stu for the most part for most of the season as far as the Pistons' big man rotation. But tonight, he got opportunity. And tonight, Paul Reed played 22 minutes. He had 8 points, 6 boards, 5 assists, 1 block, 1 turnover, 4-6 shooting, 22 minutes. So, yeah, Paul Reed did some nice things in this game. He did a little bit of everything, right? He did a little bit of scoring in the paint. He rebounded the basketball well. He facilitated the ball very, very well, especially for a big man. 5 assists and 1 turnover for a big man. That's solid. That's very good. We talk about assist turnover ratio all the time, and that's very, very good. So I liked what I saw from Paul Reed. I like that he was given a chance to play more. He does have some ability. I still don't know how comfortable I am long-term with him as my third big man. And that kind of leads us to who the Pistons might be looking at in the offseason, possibly. I could be wrong. They could keep him around and want to keep him around. But I don't know how I feel about Paul Reed as the consistent third big man on a contending team that's trying to win the championship. Maybe I'm wrong, right? But hopefully he proves me wrong. But I did like what I saw tonight. He is a serviceable big man on this team. So I got to give him credit where credit is due. All right, let's go to the next guy we have here. Let's go to Lindy Waters. Lindy Waters, man. Lindy freaking Waters, guys. If you guys know, you guys been watching the show. I've been talking about Lindy Waters for a while, ever since he became a Piston. A lot of you guys know him from him being the guy, the Golden State Warrior earlier this year that Stu was trying to take the ball away from, and Lindy Waters wouldn't give it to him. He was holding on to it, and Stu snatched it away, and he and Waters and Steph Curry were like looking at him like, "What are you doing?" kind of thing. So that was kind of the beginning of Lindy Waters for me. But in that game when he played against the Pistons, he showed me that he can really shoot the ball. Could really shoot the ball, right? And he is. I won't say he's strictly a 3-point shooter, but he is very, very much so a 3-point shooter. And he didn't shoot it well tonight. He shot it okay, but my point is that listen to this. He was 6 for 16 on field goal attempts, right? He was also 6 for 16 on threes. He took all of his shots were threes, and he took 16 of them. So that is what his role is going to be if he's going to stick around on his team. 6 for 16 is not a good percentage. It's like 34, 35%, I think, at best. But I do like that he is able to get him up. He's a threat on the court, right? He kind of gives me like he's just like a 3-and-D wing kind of player, right? He's something like a little bit of a KCP in a sense. He's not the athlete that KCP was, right? But as far as being able to move without the basketball, being able to play solid defense, being able to knock down threes when you're open, and being able to make an occasional play for you when you need. And then on defense, good defender, smart defender, right? Athletic wing, kind of things that you want to see from, guys in your bench, in your rotation. So I liked what I saw from Lenny Waters. I think that 6 for 16 is not indicative of how he can shoot the ball, because he can really shoot the ball very, very well. I just think he needs more opportunity. But he hit the game-winning or the game-tying 3-point. Did you guys see that game-tying 3-pointer he hit from the corner with a guy draped all over him? That just shows you his ability, man. Falling out of bounds from the corner, knocking down that three. Yeah, Heisenberg, that was crazy, right? That's a tough shot, man. That's a tough shot. That's a tough shot falling away without a guy in your face. But falling away like that is easy to go off the side of the backboard because you're off balance. But a guy in your face, that's tough. That's very, very tough. So credit to him. Credit to Klitman for that pass too. That leading pass to the corner as he was right there on target as he met there. So we'll get to that later. But yeah, Lindy Waters, man, I would definitely try to keep him around this offseason if I'm the Pistons. Get him on a team-friendly deal, keep him around 1 or 2 years. I definitely would like that because he's a good team basketball player. And he finished with 18 points to go with 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, and 1 block. So he didn't just shoot the ball. He also got in the boards. He also looked to facilitate. He also was playing defense, got a steal and a block. So he can give you a little bit of everything. He's a versatile guy. Once again, a versatile defensive wing who can shoot the basketball. That's what you want. Can't have too many guys like that. All right. Keeping it moving. Now we're going to get to some guys that a lot of us have been waiting to see all year long, guys, right? So let's start with a guy that honestly I have not watched a ton of, to be honest with you, right? As far as I haven't watched a ton of him, right? Tolu Smith, right? So for those who are not familiar with Tolu Smith is currently on a 2-way contract with the Pistons, right? He's been playing with the Motor City Cruise this year, and he's played pretty well. And today, I believe, was his first NBA action, if not first meaningful NBA action, from what I remember. And this was, like I said, my first time really just sitting down and watching him play extended minutes. And I like what I saw. I like what I saw from Tolu Smith, man. There's some things I think he needs to work on for sure. But first look today, I was happy with what I saw. He had 14 points, 8 boards, 2 turnovers on 6 for 9 shooting, 2 or 3 from the free throw line in 22 minutes. So yeah, I liked what I saw from Tolu, man. He's a pretty decent offensive scoring threat, right? Kind of an old school big, right? He's a good rebounder. I definitely, especially offensive rebounder. He's a good offensive rebounder on that glass, and he's got good hands. I do, though, guys, need him to get a little bit stronger with the ball. There's a few times he caught the ball and he brought it down, and once you bring it down there with the guards, you're done. Once you bring it down low with the guards, you're not getting it back up, right? It's very rare that if you're a big, that's why you'd always see guys like Rasheed Wallace out of pick and roll. If he catches the ball in the paint, he catches it and it stays up here. He would turn around and fade away with the ball up here. He wouldn't allow it to come down. He wouldn't allow you to get to it, right? So I want to see him work on that, right? He definitely has some raw skills, raw ability. It's just certain fundamentals of the game I want to see him work on, and that is definitely one of them. Because him being 6'11", he's 6'11", and he's got a pretty long wingspan from what I could tell, right? And he's 250, 6'11", 250. So you got to dominate that paint. We see JD in the paint, right? Where he's looking to put you in the rim every time he gets the ball in there. I want to see that same dog from a guy like Tolu Smith. He seems like he's a quiet guy, right? Quiet guy, just goes about his business, just plays the game, doesn't really talk smack, doesn't really bark, just goes in and plays. But I want him to be a guy that goes in, and even if he's not talking, just go in and just talk with your game. Just be physical. Go down there and just dominate that matchup. Make them uncomfortable. Make them have to double if needed. If you're 6'11", 250, you should be getting some points in that paint. And he was trying to set up shop in the paint. I have to give him credit for that. I just want to see him when he goes up. Just go up a little stronger. Go up a little stronger. Throw it down a little bit harder. He had a few at the hoop where he caught it and just laid it in. Like, you 6'11", bro. You should be dunking everything. You should be dunking everything. So, but that's kind of nitpicky for a guy who is just still getting his feet wet in the NBA. I'm not going to kill him for that. But I'm saying those things because I see the potential in him. He could be a good player for this team. He could be a good player. Maybe not a consistent every game player, because when you got JD and you got Stu, you got two pretty good bigs right there. But I think he and Paul Reed could battle for that third spot, potentially third big man backup spot if you want to go there. Maybe even he can battle for that fourth spot. And you still need to upgrade that third spot, the third big man with the guy who I mentioned earlier. I'm not going to mention this name, but you guys know I'm talking about, the T-Wolves, right? But I think he has a potential role for this team long term. Maybe not consistent, but maybe for depth purposes. Just having a guy like him around could be good. When you have foul trouble, when you got suspensions, when you got injuries, it's good to have depth. And that's what the Pistons have been building toward all season, right? All right. So that's that on Tolu Smith. Let's go ahead and go to the two guys that I'm saving for last. Well, let's go Ron Harper Jr. I know we got some Ron Harper Jr. here, Ron Harper Jr. fans here. He didn't play well though. He had 4 points on 1 for 8 shooting, 0 for 6 from 3, 2 for 2 from the free throw line. But he also did have 7 boards and 2 assists. So he was okay. You could definitely tell he was comfortable. He's kind of pressing a little bit. Just trying to do a little bit too much at times, but he was trying, right? He just didn't shoot it well. I do like that he got on the boards. 7 rebounds is that's good. I like seeing that. So he's not afraid to get in the paint and mix it up. But yeah, it was decent. And you can't really judge too much off of one game when the player doesn't play well because they haven't had a chance to get into a rhythm. So I'm not going to judge him on that, but I do like his potential. I think he's a very talented player, and we'll see what happens next year. Now, let's get to the two guys who I have been wanting to get to all year long. Phantom says, I like his dad more. That's funny. I'm a big Ron Harper senior fan, too. I liked him with the Bulls and the Lakers. He won championships with both. So, yeah, for sure. Heisenberg says, Total looked pretty good. Looked like he could have been pretty awesome if someone gave him a double espresso shot before he went out there. Right. Just need to see that, just that energy, just that boost of energy, that dog kind of come out. But he was okay. He was all right. All right, let's get back to these two guys. So, guys, I'm going to start with a guy there's two guys who I've been talking about all year. Let me just get this out of the way. Two guys in Summer League who I've wanted to see all year long. And I have had my eye on them since the first or second game of Summer League. Dennis Jenkins and Bobby Clinton, right? I've been very, very high on both of those guys because of what they showed me in Summer League. It wasn't particularly, and I know, I got to always preface this by saying, I know it's Summer League, right? I know. But in Summer League, I'll say it again, it's not, when it comes to Summer League, I'm not watching the scoreboard and I'm not watching who you're playing against. I'm watching what you're doing. I'm watching how your game is constructed. I'm watching what you're doing while you're on the court. I'm watching how you're doing it. I'm watching if you have a versatile skill set or if there are very particular things you do well. Things like that is what you're looking for. And I saw a lot of those boxes get checked off, especially from a versatility standpoint with guys like Dennis Jenkins and Bobby Clinton. So let's start with Dennis Jenkins first. Dennis Jenkins is a good point guard. He's very under control. He takes care of the basketball. He makes good decisions. And tonight, Dennis Jenkins had 2 points, 3 assists, no turnovers, on 1 of 4 shooting, 0-2 from 3, 0-2 from the free throw line in 11 minutes. So 0-2 from the free throw line stands out to me because he never misses. I don't think I've ever seen him miss 2 free throws, like with the Pistons, the Crews this year, at all. And I've been watching him with the Crews all season. The 0-2 free throws was nerves. Definitely nerves. I can see it in his face. He looked to be a little, just a touch nervous. This is really meaningful time for him. This is the most extended time I think he's gotten in the NBA, as far as playing in the NBA game, as far as just extended, meaningful minutes that could really change the outcome of the game, right? Him and Bobby. So he looked to be a little bit nervous to start the game. He missed both free throws. I said, bro, what's going on? And, a little bit nervous. I could see it. But aside from that, I thought he played solid. I thought he played a very, very solid game. Like I mentioned, he's very under control. He takes care of the basketball, and he makes good decisions. And the thing with him is that I think he, once again, showed me that he has a complete game. He's very quick, very speedy, very athletic. Like he don't be fooled. This dude, I saw him at the open practice catching oops, throwing it down, windmills, like all kind of crazy dunks. He can get off the floor. He is very, very athletic, and he can score the basketball. If he gets into a rhythm, he can get buckets. But not even just that, he can also run your offense. He knows how to run the offense. He's comfortable with the sets that are ran. It looks like a lot of the sets that the Crews run are what the Pistons run, which makes the transition from going to the Crews to the Pistons a little bit easier because you're running the same stuff, just with different guys, right? You can see tonight he was running the same offense. He looked very, very comfortable running sets, right? Because he's a starter for the Crews, running the same sets, a lot of similar sets, right? It's by design. And defensively, he's a dog. Right, he's a dog defensively, man. He's a pit bull as well. We say that a lot, but a lot of these guys, we say that because of the Pistons looking to get particular guys. And a lot of these guys have the same makeup. He's a scrapper. He doesn't take plays off either. He plays hard. He plays hard. He said when he first was given the opportunity here that he wanted to thank the Pistons for just giving him a chance. And he was going to do everything he can to take advantage of his chance when he got the opportunity. That's just how he is. He's that kind of guy. Hard worker, always staying ready, always putting in the work so that way he's ready when the moment comes and not taking anything for granted, right? I think those things are going to be a big reason as to why he's on this team next year, right? He's going to be on this team, I think, next year as a depth guard and maybe even more depending on how he can perform. But I think he can be a very important player for this team in spots when the Pistons need it. So I'm looking forward to seeing him continue to progress, but definitely think he's a solid point guard for sure. Absolutely, Devin, 100%. Yeah, man. So we'll see. We'll see how that looks. DG says, Deuce, whom of those who played today do you think will be a real piece in the coming seasons? DG, that takes me to the last guy we're going to talk to. And I saved this guy for last. So the other guy who I have been on, as you guys know, most of you guys, since the beginning of the year, since Summer League, is Bobby Klintman. Bobby Klintman, guys. Bobby Klintman, I have been waiting to see. I think I'm gonna say since October, August, September, maybe September, October, whenever Summer League was going on, is when I have been waiting, when I was really drawn to Bobby Klintman. And it was just something about his game that really just stood out in one or two Summer League games. And I could not wait to see him play NBA minutes tonight. Like not just like I mentioned, the last minutes of the game when it doesn't matter, when guys are just looking for their own shots or guys are looking you off because they're trying to make a difference so they can get time next game. Like, no. I wanted to see him in rotational minutes. And we had to wait all the way until game 82 for it. But it was worth it. But guys, we got a steal in Bobby Klintman. Bobby Klintman was drafted 37th in last year's draft. 37. And I think we got a diamond in the rough with this guy, man. Watching him in Summer League, I just saw some very obvious things watching him. He jumped off the page to me. He's very polished and very smart basketball player. And he's an athletic four who can shoot the ball and spread the floor and make winning plays. A lot of us have said, what do the Pistons need this offseason? Right? They need a bigger four who can spread the floor, who can play good defense, right? Things like that. And I think he is a guy, not as a starter next year, but he's a guy that can definitely fill a role on this team that many of us have been calling into question, right? Do you guys remember that pass in Summer League? I think it was against the Bulls. He went to the hoop and made a nice look-away pass. Looked like he was going to the perimeter. He looked his teammate dead in the face as he's going to the hoop, and he faked the pass to the big in the paint. for a dunk. And he just had this smirk on his face as he was doing it, as if this was easy. Some guys you can just tell. Like we always talk about Cade, right? I always say when you see Cade running the pick and roll and throwing oops to JD that are no look, it's because he's having fun. Like he already sees what the defense has committed to, and he's made the adjustment, right? We've seen Cade do that all year. I saw Bobby doing that in summer league with guys he doesn't even play with, right? But he just understands how to play the game. He understands, guys. He's really smart. He's really smart, and he understands how to play the game already. So his vision again was on display tonight, making pass after pass after pass to Tolu Smith, right after breaking down the defense as a big man and finding the rim. He had a guard on him on the perimeter, went right by him, got to the hoop, dropped it off to Tolu Smith for a dunk. Like this kid is special. I think he's a very special talent, guys. I think he's a very special talent. So tonight, before we go in deeper with what he did tonight, let's go to the stat line and take a look at what Bobby did. Tonight, Bobby Klintman had 15 points, 6 assists, 2 steals, 3 rebounds, no turnovers. So 6 assists and no turnovers, guys. On 6 for 8 shooting, 2 of 4 from 3, 1 or 2 from the free throw line in 23 minutes. He did all that in 23 minutes, guys. 6 assists, no turnovers. 6 for 8 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3. He did have 6 fouls, and that's the one thing that I think he's going to have to work on. And I think he honestly just has to get a little bit stronger. He's got to get a little bit stronger, and that takes time. He's got to build out his body, right? He's still very much a rookie, and he's got a rookie body. He's got to get a little bit stronger, right? But that's the easy fix. Easy fix. It just takes time. But that's the one thing that I think he needs to work on. He does play good, smart defense. He just needs to get a little bit bigger and stronger to be able to play against bigger guys, stronger guys, right? But that's not anything I'm concerned of in the least. And when you look at his game, even his offense, you couldn't tell tonight, but he has an offensive bag, like a deep bag. He just doesn't always show it. He just does not always show it. He kind of reminds me of him being at a size, I would even say even more versatile than a Boris Diaw guy, type of player who played with the Phoenix Suns before he got big and chunky with the Spurs. A slim Boris Diaw with the Phoenix Suns, the running gun Phoenix Suns, who could shoot the ball as a big, who could pass the ball as a big, great vision, could handle, could do a little bit of everything. Very versatile offensively, right? That's the kind of guy I see Bobby Klintman being, but I think he can be even better than that kind of a player. He's very, very versatile, guys, and he's very, very smart. He makes good decisions. He doesn't hurt you with the basketball. There's been guys you talked about on this team who hurt you with the basketball because they turned it over, right? And with that, I'm going to say this. I think that next season, we are going to see Bobby Klintman in the Simone Fontecchio role. I think he's going to, I could be wrong. I have no intel on that. That's just, to me, what makes sense, right? He's a perfect 4 off the bench for me, in my opinion, for right now, for what this team needs. And he's 6'9". Simone is 6'7". Bobby is 6'9". So at 2 inches taller, he's just as athletic. He can consistently knock down open threes if left open. He can show you he can take care of the basketball. 6 assists, no turnovers. He can handle the ball. He can play make. He can get hot if you allow him to. Right in tonight's game, his first bucket was a layup on a nice cut to the basket. The very next play of the game, he gets the ball, pulls up from 3, and knocks it down with ease. Like, he can get hot too. And he's also a guy that can do something that we talked about all year with Ron and Asar. Ron and Asar can both grab the board and go. They're both good rebounders at the wing, and they can both run the break. Bobby Klintman can also do that. He's a good rebounder, and he can push the ball. You trust him when he has the basketball. He's not going to just get loosey-goosey with the ball and turn it over here and there and get caught in the air and make bad plays. No, he knows how to run the break. And to be 6'9" and being able to play like a guard like he can, he's going to be a dangerous player. And I think he is going to take that role from Fontecchio. I do. Just watching him, I just feel a whole lot more comfortable, and I see a whole lot more opportunity for guys around him because of what he can do. You know, he's not he's not a guy that you have to kind of box into a role at the NBA level, right? We know with Fontecchio, you want to see him shoot the three ball, move it at the basketball. If that's not there, move it and get it back. But with Bobby, you can put the ball in his hands. You can have him run off screens and work out of that, but you can have him play make out of that, not just move it and allow somebody else to play make. You can allow him to do that. Or if he catches the ball, allow him to go get his own shot. He can do that. Let him go to the hoop and make a play out of that. He can do that without turning it over. He's just a more polished player, a more talented player, right? He just is. He just is. So I'm really excited about him. I'm like, this is what I want to see all year. This is why I've been so excited watching this guy, because I've kind of seen that he's been able to do this. And for him, it kind of just feels like defensively, he can move those puppies. We talked about guys like Pat Connaughton who have 40 points, but like you can see Bobby can move his feet. He's got to get stronger, but he can move his feet. It looked like he actually coaxed Connaughton into a turnover, into a double dribble, trying to drive on Bobby, and Bobby moved his feet, played straight up and turned him over. So like the versatility, guys. Like we have so many guys on this team who are versatile. That's what I love is you can have guys play the 3-4 here, 2-3 here, 1-2 here, 4-5 here. There's not guys on this team that's only a 1 or only a 2 or only a 3 or only a 4. And that helps when you get into foul trouble because you can shift guys around with ease. And it's like nobody ever got in foul trouble, So last thing on Bobby is that he can make heads up plays for you too. Things you can't really scout for or look at film on. He can do things like getting an offensive rebound and finding a shooter for a 3-ball, like Lindy Waters, and then getting a steal on the ensuing possession and knocking down a corner 3-ball yourself, right? Falling out of bounds. That's what Bobby Klintman did before making that pass to Lindy Waters again after that for Lindy Waters' game-tying buzzer beater. Impact players. We always talk about what? Impact players, not just box scorers, which we talk about, but how are you affecting the game if you're not scoring? 6 assists, no turnovers, that's impactful. But that's what he can give you, just that versatility. So I'm really, guys, I'm hyped. I am hyped about Bobby Klintman next year. And I see him next year averaging between 10 to 15 minutes a game. That's where I see him. Once again, I like Fontecchio. He looked good tonight. I think Bobby's better. I think Bobby's better. And I think he's going to be a better fit in that role next season because he's going to give more consistency and versatility and impact on both sides of the court. So I think this was the year for Bobby to learn the system right from the sideline, learn the system with the G League. Like I mentioned, they run a lot of the same stuff. I've been at Cruise games. I've covered a couple Cruise games, right? And so like I'm just watching how they play. It's a lot of the same schematic things that the Pistons do. And that makes it easy to make that jump a little bit easier. Now it's just about learning your teammates at the next level, not learning the system at the next level, right? So that really benefited him. So I see him next year, 10 to 15 minutes. This year was a year to learn, watch, grow, improve, right? And stay sharp. And then come next year, I think it's go time for Bobby Klintman, guys. That's what I think. So those are my thoughts on what I saw. And it looks like you guys saw a lot of the same thing. Cindy Harris says, I was glad to see him play. Yeah, good to see you, right? A.O. Germ says, Klintman is taking all of Simone's minutes. That would be a great fit. It'd be a perfect fit. It'd be a perfect fit. That's the exact fit you want to see. Heisenberg says, I watched the ESPN Spanish broadcast of this game, and during the game, the announcers were discussing the playoffs, and one of them said, Josh Hart, Walmart, shopping cart, Pistons and 6. That's funny, Heisenberg. I know a little Spanish myself. I had to remember what 6 was, but yeah, Pistons and 6, yeah, for sure. I got him in 7, Heisenberg. We'll get to that. In our playoff preview on Wednesday, but everything King and Eric Bissett. But for sure, man, definitely was a fun game to watch. I'm really, really excited about what Trajan Langdon is putting together. Yes, Carl. Trajan can draft too. We knew Troy could draft pretty well. Trajan can draft well too. We see that for sure. We look at the guys that he's brought in. Ron Holland was a hit, and Bobby Klintman is a hit too, guys. We got 2 good players. 2 good players, man. I think Bobby Klintman, in hindsight, at 37, is going to be an absolute steal. Like, if you watch the broadcast, you saw how quickly Greg Kelser was gravitating and talking about and gushing over Bobby Clintman, because this is a real chance. We really get a chance to see him play meaningful minutes. Like I mentioned, like all the other times we've seen Bobby and Dennis and all the other guys, it was when the game was over. And it wasn't even the same. Like the offense wasn't being ran. There was no defense. It was just out there. It's just we need guys out there to rest our guys so we can get off the court and go home. Right. But tonight it was meaningful minutes. Second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. So you could just see that when given the opportunity, these boys can hoop, man. They can hoop, and they're going to have bigger roles next year. So the Ronan says, Trajan for exec of the year. Hey, I'm not mad at that. There should be at least 2 awards the Pistons get this year. They should get at least coach of the year. I mean, it's a given to us, right? But I think that he should be coach should win coach of the year. Bickerstaff should win coach of the year. And Cage, like, they're probably going to give Cade MIP. I don't even think Cade wants MIP. Cade, like, just give me a first team all NBA or second team all NBA at the worst, and I'm good. Like, most improved seems a little bit beneath Cade at this point. And that's not even to be disrespectful. But most improved team, that should be Pistons, but he's not. I don't think Cade is the most improved player. I think Cade has been an all NBA level player. He just has a team now that makes him look like he's an all NBA player. That's really what it comes down to. But D. Davis said, I don't think we'll get either. You could be right. I mean, that would be tragic. You know, Kenny Atkinson could get it for coach of the year. I don't know who would get exec over the year though over Trajan, considering what we've done, considering what the Pistons have done. I don't see too many. I could be wrong, but I don't see too many options out there that are better than what Trajan Langdon has done this year with Bees and THJ and Tobias and the deals that he got him on. That's the thing. It's not just who you bring in; it's how you manage your cap. Bees, he had $1 million a year, or $6 million a year on 1 year. That's freaking incredible. That's incredible. That's insane. Tobias now at $26 million a year. That looks good. At this point, we saw how much we needed him when he wasn't here the last few games, right? You look at THJ, who, like, where would we be if Jaden went down and we didn't have THJ? Think about that. As much as we praise Beasley and Tobias, and rightfully so, where would we be if JI goes down and there is no THJ? That's an important question to ask yourself, right? He's been a steadying presence since he's been here. Huge. Absolutely huge. So considering those things and considering the deals we got these guys on, considering getting Ron Holland with the 5th pick in the draft, and most people didn't know who he was, myself included at the time, did not know who Ron Holland was. I didn't focus on the draft this year. I knew the top 4 or 5 guys, and that was it. But he's proving to be every bit of worth that 5th pick that he was selected with, right? He looks like he could be here for a long time. I hope he is, right? And he's a lot readier than I thought we all thought. You know, what we saw from Ron by now, like what I saw from Ron by game 30, I was hoping to see by game 82. And he was just way ahead of schedule. So consider who he's drafted. Looking at Bobby Clement, who we just got this past year at 37. Like, yeah, I don't see any options out there that have accomplished what Trajan Langdon has done in one off season. I don't think anybody compares to that. So I could be wrong, could be biased. I don't think so. I mean, I just gave y'all the facts. So you do with that what you want. But D. Davis, I do hear you as far as politics. I'm not mad at you. I agree with you. You know, I'm just looking at it from a number standpoint. I'm like, I don't see how it doesn't look egregious if you don't select him. I don't see how you can explain it in a way that makes sense if you go elsewhere. You know what I mean? So I could be wrong, but we'll leave it there. The Ronan says Trajan did historical-ish this year. Put some respect on his name. Fact, you feel me, bro? Yeah, put some respect on his name, Ronan. You feel me? So that's pretty much a wrap on this show, guys. We know the standings. We know the Pistons are going to play the Knicks. We don't know when yet. The playoffs, I think, officially start on April 19th. April 19th, I believe, is the first game or games of the playoffs. So the schedules have not been announced yet for the first round series. All we know is that we are playing the New York Knicks, right? Which is exactly what I wanted and hope we would get. And we will see the Pacers play the Bucks. And once again, as good as the Pacers have been, I think the Bucks are not a good matchup for them. And I think the Bucks are hitting their stride at a perfect time. They're getting healthy at a perfect time. And if Dame is healthy to go along with Giannis, and Lopez and Portis and KPJ and Kuz and Connaughton. Yeah, man, I got the Bucks winning that in 6. So we'll leave that there. But it's been a great show as always, guys. Looking forward to getting with you guys this coming week. So, guys, this coming week, for those who missed it, we are going to be hosting a special episode. Myself, King, and Eric Vincent is going to be a playoff preview this coming Wednesday at 8 p.m. The three of us will be on here. We'll be right back here, and we will go ahead and talk about everything playoffs, from matchups to predictions to updates. It's going to be a fun show, so you guys definitely want to check that out. We all know the preparation for the Pistons for the first time includes the playoffs, for the first time in 6 years. So it's going to be fun watching our guys get some experience for the first time in the playoffs and see how they handle certain situations in the playoffs for the first time, right? So it's going to be fun to watch. But like I said, make sure you guys are tapped in this coming Wednesday at 8 p.m. EST with my boys, Eric Vincent of Clutch Points, Detroit Pistons beat writer, and of course, Everything King will be here as well. And we are going to break down the playoff push. So we're looking forward to doing that for you guys. We'll see you guys all on Wednesday. And I hope you guys are all safe on this weekend and have a great night. And I will see you guys on Wednesday. Detroit versus everybody. Peace.
And when you knock me down, I'm getting back up. Cause when I step on the floor, you know your time's up. I'm on my way up and I'm not gonna stop. We headed straight to the top in the low. I gotta taste it.